everybody, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to do this video on the ColourPop palette that I made myself, and it's the whole build your own palette idea on their website. I am so happy with the way my palette turned out. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. That's what's inside, and I'll run down everything that's inside, do a little demo of my look today, but I also wanted to definitely talk about just the experience of using their website, putting it together. No, not sponsored. There is no connection here. I have no codes to share. I have no cahoots. I knew they were offering a really good deal to make your own palettes, and when I started looking into it, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so into this. And there have been many different brands that I have made my own palette with. Like, I've done it through MAC, which with that, I really enjoyed going through and picking my shades and everything. I liked the stuff I got, but they still haven't sent me the palette that's supposed to hold everything. They show it as in stock and orderable while you're doing it, and then after the fact, after you place the order, they're like, oh, that's out of stock. And so I don't know when, if ever, I'll get that. Buxom, I've made my own palette there. That was enjoyable, and I liked what I ended up with, although the process of picking everything is very different from what you'll hear me describe with this ColourPop palette. Essence, they also used to have a build your own palette option. I don't think they still do. Again, that could have been a better process in terms of helping you pick the shades, but also the quality wasn't like over the top amazing there. And then going back even further, you know, like thinking about Makeup Geek, different single shadows that you can just pop into a palette, you know, those options are all there. This isn't like a brand new, oh my gosh, you can put any shade you want into a Z palette. I am fully aware people have had the capability of putting together shades for some time, but here's what I like about the ColourPop situation. You go to their website, go to the build your own palette section, and they are going to lay out every option and show you a filled up palette. So you're not going to be sitting there when it's time to put together your palette, and you're not going to be in a position where, okay, I want the large palette. Now, how many face colors will that hold if I choose this many eyeshadows or vice versa? Like, it takes all the need to visualize out of it, and you actually get to see it in front of you, and they show you exactly what the different layouts will be, and you can see, you know, they prove it to you that the palette will be totally filled with those different layouts. So it could be, you know, fewer face products, it could be all eye products, you could do all face, smaller palettes than this. This is one of the larger ones, and I just love how they lay that all out. So I opted for this, and I knew I wanted the combination because I wanted to experiment with more of their pressed face products. So once you choose the palette layout that you want, then you actually have like a picture of the empty palette, and you can start adding things in, and you can actually see how it's all going to look. You can go through your face products first, let's say. They even allow the option to include their matte, just general basic face powders, which I think is huge and would make for something really versatile if you did that. So you could put in one of those, you could pop in a bronzer, a blush, a highlight, all kinds of finishes. And if you just like either hover or like click a little button near the actual product, they'll give you a brief description of what the finish is and what the color tone is. And I love that. It makes it so user-friendly. So you can pop it all in, you can start taking things out, switching things around, and same with the eyeshadows divided by finish. So you've got your mattes, your shimmers, metallic formulas. You can pop some in, then you can be like, no, I've changed my mind, I want to take that back out, put something else in that spot, and you end up being able to completely see what your palette's going to look like. And I think for a very visual person like myself, it helps so much. And I mean, I would freaking just go on that website and probably, like, for fun, create a palette and then maybe not buy it. But I did buy this one, and I thought it was so, like, I really do feel like I got what I thought I was going to get. I think for the most part, these shades looked on the website very true to color, and then furthermore, reading the descriptions about the shades helped me get exactly what I wanted here. The one thing you might run into is that something might be out of stock. For example, the blush that I chose might not have been my first choice blush. I do really like this, and you'll see it going on in the demo. It looks really fresh and pretty. I might have gone for something a little cooler, actually, considering the color scheme of these eyeshadows. But whatever the case, I think the only thing you might run into is the fact that not everything may be in stock at a given time when you're trying to create your palette. But I just loved putting it together, and then when it came, everything's going to come, you know, just your palette alone, and then all of your singles are going to be packaged individually, like in little sort of cardboard, almost mini folder looking things, and then your pan will be sitting in a little reclosable plastic like cover almost. So if at some point you decide to retire one of your shades from this palette and pop in something else, if you held on to those little plastic protectors, you know, you could have a safe place to keep that and it wouldn't get gouged. But when everything arrived, it was all very nicely packaged, safely packaged, nothing was broken at all, and it was so fun. Let me tell you, so fun to put all the shades in your palette. So I want to walk you through what I did end up choosing and what I think about all of it. As far as the face shades go, I got this highlight called Dreamscape. I love the tone. It's very pearly and light, very reflective on the skin. It can be very intense, but it's not full of glittery filler, and I love that. The blush that I have here is called Zip. It's a very soft peach with kind of a satiny finish. I do think I see like maybe just a little gentle sheen when I put this on, and I'm glad it's subtle enough to where it doesn't really clash with some of these cooler eyeshadows that I chose. Going forward, I may swap that out with a little bit cooler blush. The bronzer that I have here is called Wild Card. It's a matte bronzer, super easy for me to use. I don't feel like I have to be too careful with it, but I feel it does get the job done. I'm wearing that around the hairline and kind of a little bit here in the hollow of the cheek, and I just think it looks very natural. Then with my eyeshadows, these are my 12 shadows. I have 5 mattes and 7 shimmers, and at first the way I had this set up was like all my mattes in this row, and it would have been this cream color here. That's called Hear Me Out. This other matte is Chic Happens. It's a nice like kind of mauve-y crease color. Another matte is right up here with this lilac. This is so bold and fun. It's called Howlin. And then my 2 other purples right here, these are both mattes. I could not turn these down. I loved them. Silver Lining, and then the deeper one is called Sleeper. So that's kind of like a berry plum. And I had all those kind of lined up in a row, and it made a really pretty gradient, but that left me kind of wanting to just focus in on those shades and those shades alone, and I wasn't seeing the palette for the nice kind of mixture that it is. So like I love looking at that little quad there, and then I look at these kind of fun accent shades and then my deep colors. But just to take you straight through, this is Hear Me Out, and this is my matte cream. Beam Me Up is this really light silver that I definitely feel like has some blue in it, and I'm wearing that in my look today. This lilac is again called Howlin. This coppery shade, absolutely love this very intense metallic called Upon a Star. This one is Silver Lining right next door. I do think I included a lot of plum because I like almost anything blended back into plum. I would like pairing copper with a plum look. I would like pairing this or this or this with it. So it made a lot of sense for me to have some base colors that were that tone. This really pretty shade makes an appearance in this tutorial, and it's called Antimatter. Looks very teal as you look at it there head on, like in this lighting, but just me looking at it here, it's more of a royal blue, but then it has kind of like a purpley pink shift to it. Down here, I'm so glad I got Snake Eyes. It's this really versatile shade, like it's super metallic. It's like a really, really, really light rose gold. Love it. I already mentioned this one here. What's it called? Chic Happens. That pretty mauve. I wanted a mint green. I wanted a lot of pastels. I wanted this to be a fun kind of springy palette. And this green is called Heavenly. And it's kind of different from some of the more light olive greens that I've played with in other palettes, so it's more just minty and icy. I got this brownish shade here. It's kind of like a cool taupey brown called Dragonfly, and I thought that could make a nice easy one shadow look or just mesh in with pretty much anything. Even though it has that little bit of sheen, it's fine in the crease. It really is a gorgeous crease color, and it can pair nicely with any of my like really light pops for just a very quick look. Again, we've got Sleeper right here, a really saturated, very pigmented like berry plum. I say berry plum because I definitely see the kind of pinkiness coming through that as it shears out. And then Nightdream, instead of just going matte black, I went with a shade here that actually has a little bit of a sparkle. I think you can see that as I move the palette around a little bit, just a little more interesting. It's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted something fun that was going to inspire me to do some fun spring looks. And the beauty of all this is that if you want to purchase, you know, some other single shades, I think you can just buy the single pans, and you always have that opportunity to swap out and sort of remake your palette. And then no matter what, you've got a fully functional, essentially like a Z palette here to use for anything that you want. But I love the generous size of the face colors. Your eyeshadows are just like a standard single shadow, like a MAC shadow or a Makeup Geek shadow, and the quality, like I really can't complain whatsoever about the quality. The only complaint I might have, like it would be really cool if we're not going to have a clear window here here to be able to see our stuff, it would have been great to have a mirror in there. I know ColourPop's not huge on mirrors in a lot of their palettes, but I do love that. But I even like the exterior of this palette. This is the collage style. These look like watermelon seeds to me. I'm making this look like a dolphin back here somehow on the back. It's just kind of swirly and fun, and it really does stand out in my collection. But the looks I've done with this so far, I have really, really enjoyed, and I think there's still so much more that I can do with this fun little assortment of shades. But here's a look at how to get today's look. First off, for my little demo here, I'm gonna start with my bronzer. All I have on my skin right now is foundation, concealer, powder, and brows. So I'm ready for a little bronze. And I'm just gonna dip into that with my e.l.f. complexion brush. It's nicely pigmented, but not like an over-the-top deep shade for me. I'm actually really happy with the bronzer I chose here. I don't think I would feel the need to go back and like replace this shade. It's just working perfectly. I think in the description it said it has a bit of a reddish undertone, which I think is perfect in bronzers. I'm gonna take a little bit and hit my cheekbone slightly. And it is a totally matte bronzer. And then, as always, we take it down the neck. And that bronzer shade is called Wild Card. Now my blush is called Zip, and it has what seems to be a bit of a satin finish. There's a little sheen. At the time I ordered, there were several out of stock, and I would have gone a bit more cool and a little more pinky with it, but ColourPop seems to have a lot more warm blush options just in general. But I am kind of happy with this because it is so soft and subtle. You'll see it definitely shows on my skin. It's not one of those where I'm like, oh man, what a bummer, it doesn't show. It does, but I'm glad it is kind of a subtle shade that will still work and tie back with everything here and not look really out of place, you know? It's not like a bold true peach or something that's gonna show up really loud on my skin. You'll see, I'll just apply it already. This is my e.l.f. blush brush. It just gives this gentle life to the cheeks, but nothing too much. And the sheen, it does look really natural. Like the finish is just super skin-like. So I really do like this blush. For this particular color palette, I may still pick up a more pinky one just to see, but I still think this blush is soft enough to really wear well with anything. So gently peachy there, love it. And then the highlight I chose here is Dreamscape. Absolutely love this. Perfect kind of pearly, champagne-y tone, but not too golden. Definitely bright and light. And it just really pops without showing like a bunch of glittery filler or anything like that. It's just super smooth. I'm a big fan of that. I was kind of tempted by the Disney Villains collection that ColourPop did, and there were some things where I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? And I just went back and forth enough to the point where I was like, no, I don't think I really need it. But I did get the Maleficent highlighter. I thought the tone looked really pretty, and it's actually a Super Shock highlighter, meaning it has that different kind of like creamy texture almost, and I really much prefer this. I like the powder pan even better. I just think this shade looks so natural yet still, you know, glowy. So super nice, very workable face products for me. I am going to pop on a little setting mist. This is my Farsali Rose Gold Skin Mist. I swear, it kind of smells like oranges and cream. I love that. I've already got my eye primer on, and I'm gonna go up to this shade right here. I love starting my look out with this color called Chic Happens. It's a nice matte mauve. And I'm just gonna pop that into the crease. I also, knowing that I would have this big old bronzer in here, I kind of skipped, you know, the warm sort of soft brown crease color in this color palette because I knew I could easily just tap into my bronzer if I want to take it a little bit more like warm brown direction. So I kind of kept things cool and some pops of pastel. That was really something I wanted. Just something a little different from a lot of palettes I have. Yesterday I did an all matte like purple eye, and it turned out so beautifully. The matte lilac in here is just amazing. So super pretty and soft there. I love that kind of tone just on my skin tone, on my eyes, and I'm just blending over with a bare brush. And then I'm going to use some of my matte cream color here. Sorry, I'm not quite familiar enough to know all of their names. Hear me out. Take a little bit of that, and we're just going to let that kind of come over the edge. It's a great sort of buff it out, smooth it out kind of highlight shade. And then I think today I want to work with this color called Beam Me Up. This is a very metallic, like silvery shade that has, I think, a hint of light blue in it. And I'm going to pick some of that up with my flat brush. And we'll just pat that here on like the inner part of my lid. Super pretty, super bright. I feel like even more when I apply it than when I just see it in the pan. I see more blue coming out of it. But it's very soft and wearable and springy, and I love it. Maybe take that, let that come around the inner corner too. Another great, like bright, brightening inner corner shade is this one here. This is called Snake Eyes. Yeah, Snake Eyes. Then a shade that I'm kind of eager to play with a little bit more that I haven't used a lot is Antimatter right here. And this shade looks, I don't know, it's crazy. I hold up the palette and it looks downright like super teal turquoise. I look at it at different angles. It can pull more like pinky purple even if I'm looking at it certain ways. I want to try to dab this on alongside that lighter silver blue and just see what we get. I've struggled a little bit with this shade because I don't know, I haven't worn it very full on yet, and I think that's probably its strength. Like you'll see the most intensity out of this shade if you just packed it on without layering. But I think it's doing a good job as far as kind of working in with those two other shades I have on. Again, I'm going to just sort of buff here because I really work that into my crease. I want everything to stay really blended. And I'm thinking I might use a little bit of this matte plummy color called Sleeper. Really pretty, like berry plum. Definitely sense like the pink going on here as this shade shears out. But I'm gonna smudge a little bit of that on my lower lash line. And there's more I could do. You know I got like a couple of dark shades here. I've got the dark kind of sparkly black I could work into this look. But there's something about this lightness kind of on the lid, and I really don't want to undo that bluish look because I'm enjoying it. So now I'm going to pop on some liner and mascara and I'll be back with the finished look. I just added a little liquid liner, mascara, a little light liner to the lower inner rim, but I just wanted to keep this look fairly simple. Sometimes when I'm playing around with palettes, I'm guilty of, okay, let's try this shade and this shade and this shade, and before you know it, you've kind of lost the purity of your look, and so I kind of like that just light blue freshness, very springy and soft. And then the lipstick I threw on is this Flight Risk from Too Faced, and it's just kind of a nice berry companion to this blue eye, I think. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this video. I think at $48 for everything I got in here, 12 eyeshadows, 3 big face colors, and not to mention the magnetic palette, $48 for all that really seems like an awesome deal. And I'm not sure how long that deal is going to be around because you can see it has $79 crossed out and it's marked down to $48. All the palettes are marked down substantially right now. We'll see how long that goes, but I think ColourPop has definitely got it down in terms of creating a user-friendly way to make your own palettes, and then you get it home and you're like, yes, I'm so happy. And it was so fun and satisfying to sit everything, you know, in your palette. So let me know if you have any questions, anything I didn't cover in my experience here, but it's totally something anybody can do if you've ever wanted to like make your own palette, which I have like designed palettes, you know, like my Makeup Revolution ones. And this was definitely a lot more low stress knowing it was only going to me and not like thousands and thousands of people. But yeah, really fun experience, and if this seems a little large for you, they also do have those smaller size palettes that might fit, let's say, 12 eyeshadows only, or 2 cheeks and 4 shadows. Really, really cool. I'm so happy with this. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.